I want to talk about cleaning your house today. I want to talk about cleaning your house. I want to talk about cleaning your house literally and metaphorically. When we're on a spiritual awakening path, when we are on a path of self-actualization, which you might be or you might not be, or you might have stumbled onto this like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But when we're on one of those paths, you're probably close to it. And when I say on a spiritual path, or an enlightenment path, awakening path, whatever, all that really means is that you're in a place where you're more interested in the possibilities of existence rather than the limitations. Let me say that again. You're more interested in the possibilities of existence rather than self-imposed limitations or cultural limitations or spiritual limitations, right? So if you're someone that is more interested in the possibilities, then you're probably on some kind of spiritual path, right? So when you're on a spiritual path and you're doing this work, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's super easy, and sometimes it's very difficult. And one of the reasons that it can be difficult is that I'll come back to one of the basic tenets of A Course in Miracles. Love is something that cannot be taught, but we can be taught to recognize the blocks to the presence of love in our life, right? Presence of God, presence of grace, presence of flow, of joy, right? So the blocks. So when I talk about cleaning your house, you know, it's interesting because I just thought about this, is Saint Teresa of Avila talked about the mansions of God and how each mansion has its own challenges. If you ever get a chance to read, it's great to read the source material itself, but also Carolyn Meese's book called, about Saint Teresa of Avila. Let me see. Do I have it right here? What's the name of that book? Anyway, it's the book all about Saint Teresa of Avila. Anyway, so the mansions. So these mansions have dragons in them. These mansions have challenges in them. Entering the castle. Hello, Carol, and thank you for sharing. Carolyn Meese's book, Entering the Castle, is awesome. She's an incredible teacher, one of my favorite teachers. So the point being is that to see the face of God, to have that direct connection with grace, with love, with joy, which you already have, but it's just not conscious, we have to start to face what we talked about before, our patterns. Our patterns become things in our lives that fill up the rooms of our house, right? So, you know, when you walk into basic. You know, I used to love that show Hoarders. Have you ever seen that show Hoarders? I used to love it. One of the reasons I loved it was like, it blew my mind. I was like, how can someone live like that? How can someone live like that? And you see all of this stuff that just crams these people's houses. They can barely climb through the houses. Some of them are so horrible and disgusting, but they have adapted to their stuff. What have they done? They've adapted to their stuff, right? So in this show Hoarders, what you come to find out with every single one is a very simple and basic psychological principle, which is, if you don't clean here, then it's going to reflect there, right? Holding on to grief, holding on to judgment, holding on to anything. So what psychologically happens is that we start to hold on to things and hold on to things and hold on to things. And so all the rooms within your house have things that you're holding on to. Now, you might be holding on to them. Well, most of it's subconscious or unconscious, but you might be holding on to them because you feel like it's giving you safety. You feel like it's giving you a sense of who you are, right? And sometimes you're holding on to it in order to make sure that you stay barricaded so that the world, God, love, source can't get to you, because the ego doesn't want you to face that stuff. Does that make sense? So the ego doesn't want you to face that stuff. And so in your houses, in your mansions, you all have a house. In your rooms, it's filled with stuff. The stuff is what you have to start to clear out. You have to start to clear out your stuff. Listen, let me go back. You don't have to do anything I say. But if you are on a spiritual enlightenment path, you're going to have to look at your stuff. Now, this is so basic, so basic. And hopefully this is a reminder for all of you to look at your stuff. And when you look at your stuff, it can be a lot of different things. In all the rooms, in the attic, in the basement, there are boxes, and each box has something that it's labeled. I never forgave my mother for being a bitch. I never forgave myself for not going to college. I never stopped judging my sister for doing that thing to me when I was 5. Do you understand? Every box has a label that's that. And your house is filled with those boxes, right? Another box might say, I'm still regret that I never asked that guy out. Another box might say, I still regret that I gave up on my dream. All of these are boxes that are filling your house. And your house is your beingness. Your beingness. So it's all a block to your connection with grace and God and love. So this is why I'm a big proponent of therapy, good therapy, is because therapy, as we've said before here, helps you to look at patterns. It helps you to look at a pattern, and then you go, oh my God, like I've said before, oh my God, I see it. I see it now. I see that that's why I'm doing that. And once you see it, then you have the choice to start to take that box and put it outside. But the box, this is what happens. When you face the stuff, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a second. When you face the stuff, the box doesn't have any power over you anymore. It doesn't become a block. It instead becomes a gateway to your enlightenment. It instead becomes the door opening to God, the door opening to peace, to joy, to love. But what we do all the time is we don't want to look at those things. We don't want to look at that box that's in that corner, right? We don't want to look at that. We don't want to open that box, because if we open that box, guess what? This is why the myth of Pandora's box. Because if you open the box, whoa, the floodgates are going to open. And if the floodgates open, you don't know if you can hold it back. And you don't know what's going to happen if that box opens and you start to look at all of your stuff. Take a deep breath. So I've given you some examples, right? So here's just a couple of things that might be in your boxes. Might be in your boxes. I've said this, but you can write this down. Regrets. You might have regrets. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets. And my intuition is that I'm a human being, and I know that I definitely have regrets, and I'm pretty far along the path. There's some regrets, because you're supposed to have no regrets. So I have no regrets. Be honest with yourself. You might have no regrets. But listen, what do you regret? There's always a regret somewhere. Don't make yourself bad for having a regret. It's okay. It's okay. So the first thing is regrets. So look at your regrets. What do you regret? I regret not saying I love you to that person. I regret not giving that dollar bill to that person. I regret that I gave up on my diet. I regret that. These are real. These are real. So be honest with yourself. The first thing is your regrets. Your regrets. The second thing is in your boxes, what are the wrongs you have done? This is one that takes work. What wrongs have you done? We've all done something. Maybe not a lot, but what wrongs have you done to others? What wrongs have you done to your family, to your friends, to your partner? What lies have you told? These things fill up your attic and your basement and your whole house with boxes. So what wrongs have you done? Right? What wrongs, right? Third thing is, what judgments do you have against the world, against yourself, against others? What are your judgments? Judgments are a big part of the boxes. They're a big part of the boxes. And remember, the only way to do this work is with what? Honesty. Don't try to be, I'm spiritually okay, so I don't judge. Come on. We all judge, right? So judgments, regrets, wrongs you've done, judgments to yourself, judgments to others. How are you judging yourself? You're holding something against yourself. I should be better. I shouldn't have done that. I wish I was prettier. Wish I didn't have these fat thighs. Those are all judgments about yourself that are creating more boxes in your house. Right? So those are three things. Regrets, things you've done wrong, and judgment on yourself and others. One more thing, and then I'm going to do an obvious thing, and then we're going to wrap up. And this is something that's very common and something that's going to help you to clear your boxes out. Here we go. Who or what do you need to forgive? Who or what do you need to forgive? In the Course in Miracles, it says, forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness changes you. And when you change, your boxes disappear. One of the most direct ways to deal with this is forgiveness. I'm just going to put it out there. The last thing I'm going to say is that, I'm talking about cleaning your house as a metaphor, but I'm also talking about cleaning your house literally. Literally cleaning your house, you know this to be true, makes you feel what? Feel better. It makes you feel better. What part of your house do you need to clean? Sevilla just said she needs to get rid of furniture, right? So, what do you need to do with your home? Your space is sacred. It's your castle. Your space needs to be a place that you feel open, that you feel joyful, that you feel connected, right? So, even clearing out that one corner, that corner I'm talking about, or that one drawer, you will start to feel a sense of relief. You could just do that.